welcome to Brand X Reviews. Today I'm going to be talking about the story that broke yesterday. That was Tuesday the 9th of February. Well, it was to me anyway, because I live in England, so I mean, argumentatively, it came out in Monday, I guess. But anyway, point is, the story that Spider-Man is going to be incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and vice versa. Marvel's Cinematic Universe is going to kind of be incorporated into Sony's Spider-Man franchise. Now, this was something that wasn't really out of the ordinary when I first saw it. I didn't believe it because there were so many websites and so many social media pages that just report on things that aren't true, that are just rumours. Just some randomers posted on a webpage or a forum saying Spider-Man's going to be alongside the Avengers. You check it out, it's not true, it's a lot of bollocks. But this one obviously was. But that's why I didn't believe it, because there's been so much stuff. Usually these websites, you go to them and they are full of advertisements and sponsors, and they just post any old bollocks. It's just clickbait, basically. I'm really just annoyed with it. But it was quite a pleasant surprise in that context, because I think it was on the Sci-Fi Debris, which is a great review website. It was their Facebook page. Somebody posted this article, and somebody had understandably commented, yeah, what a load of rubbish, Spider-Man being incorporated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, obviously not true, where is the source for this? And then the next comment was, shit, it's Marvel.com. So I was like, seriously, Marvel.com now! Went straight on there. And yeah, sure enough, they were announcing it. It was the press release, which I'm sure you've already read. I've got it kind of on standby here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing because it kind of goes on about the execs and all that stuff, and they've done a fabulous job at Sony. It's like, we don't really care about that. Well, I don't anyway. But this is how they put it, because there's a lot of rumours going around at the moment. There's a lot of officially unconfirmed stuff. There's stuff that's as good as officially confirmed, like Andrew Garfield, sadly, in my opinion, isn't going to be coming back as Spider-Man. I don't think at this moment in time that's been officially announced, but it's as good as, because the press release kind of alludes to that, and people have said that work for the companies and stuff, yeah, he's not coming back. But here's the main part of the press release anyway. So this was it was under the headline, Sony Pictures Entertainment brings Marvel Studios into the amazing world of Spider-Man. Now that for starters is interesting, because it's really the other way around. The big thing is really kind of encompasses the smaller thing, not the other way around. Spider-Man and Sony are the smaller thing. It's not the Avengers going into Spider-Man's little film franchise at this moment in time anyway, because, well, it's be rebooted anyway, because it's a small thing. It's actually Spider-Man being incorporated into the Marvel universe, which is so much better and more successful critically, financially. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing the Spider-Man films. I kind of like them all, even Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire one, in its own way, in context. But anyway, yeah, so that was a headline. I just thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, new Spider-Man will appear first in an upcoming Marvel film within Marvel's Cinematic Universe, which is actually more appropriate way of putting it, because that's the way it is. That's how they're going to start this crossover. It's going to be a Marvel film, and Spider-Man's going to be in that. So that again is quite telling. New Spider-Man, not Andrew Garfield necessarily, unless they meant because he is the new Spider-Man. I don't think that's what they meant at all, and like I said, that's not what people on the inside have been saying. So it's February 9th, yeah, technically that was when this came out. It's February 10th to me, because I'm a few hours ahead. Sony Pictures Sony Pictures Entertainment and Marvel Studios announced today that Sony is bringing Marvel into the amazing world of Spider-Man. Under the deal, a new Spider-Man will first appear in a Marvel film from Marvel's Cinematic Universe, MCU. Sony Pictures will thereafter release the next installment of its $4 billion Spider-Man franchise on July 28th, 2017. A film that will be co-produced by Kevin Feige and blah 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 kind of thing. So there's a lot of talk that Spider-Man is going to be first introduced into any of these films. This new Spider-Man, God knows who's going to play him, but he's going to first be introduced in Civil War. That's a lot of talk at the moment. Again, as far as I know, that's unconfirmed. But it has to really be that, because there's not a lot of other Marvel films that are coming out that he could be in other than that, in order to then appear in the Spider-Man film, the Sony Spider-Man film, in July 28th, 2017. So it makes sense for them to do that. A lot of people are saying it's too late for them to do that because production's like well underway for Civil War. They can't just change it at this late date. I very much doubt that. From what I understand, the Civil War, I don't know this for a fact, but I've heard that the script had been written in mind for it to have Spider-Man in, and they were in talks back in October, November, which we know from the Sony leaks, the hacks, that Spider-Man was originally, there was some hope that he was going to be in the Civil War film, that they were kind of anticipating this agreement back then. They just couldn't agree on control and all that kind of stuff. So I don't quite know how accurate that's going to be, but I imagine it will be Civil War, and that'll be great because Spider-Man was a fundamental part of the Civil War graphic novel or comics storyline, the main one anyway. So yeah, that's really quite interesting. As far as I know at this time, that's unconfirmed that it's going to be Civil War, but we'll see. Post in the comments anyway if you've got any kind of thing to say about that. But the other thing about this is there's going to be ripple effects because they're going to have this film come out as well within this lineup, this Spider-Man film, which is a Sony film, but that's going to kind of mean there's not a lot of space for some of the other Marvel films. They've kind of pushed them back. I mean, granted, it's the Spider-Man film isn't a Marvel Studios film, it's a Sony film with Marvel Studios kind of helping. But still, Marvel Studios lineup, which has been announced, Phase 3, they're going to push them back. Some of their films are going to push 4 of their films back briefly. Now, some people are kind of complaining about this. Well, it's a negligible amount, really. I mean, with some of these films like Marvel's Inhumans, which was going to come out in 2018, is now coming out in 2019. It's like, either way, it's a long way away. It's not like this was coming out next week and then it's got delayed by 6 months. I mean, you know, I think we can live with that. So anyway, yeah, there was another press release shortly after at Marvel.com. So it said 4 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe release new dates through 2019. And those 4 films are Thor Ragnarok, which is Thor 3 basically, Black Panther, Captain Marvel and the Inhumans. So to be specific, Thor Ragnarok is now coming out in November 2017. Black Panther will now be coming out on July 6, 2018, Captain Marvel on November 2nd, 2018, and Inhumans now coming out in July 2019. So quite a long time to wait for the Inhumans. I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have already started to bring Inhumans into their TV series, which is canon with the films. So it's going to be quite a long time to see those, because that was going to come out in 2018. So a lot of the stuff that I was talking about when they first announced the Phase 3 announcements, that I did a video back in October, I think it was, is now pretty much irrelevant because they've changed, you know, the whole lineup. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how it's having that effect. Now, what else did we have? There was another one. Obviously, the whole Andrew Garfield issue. I'm going to kind of get into this. It's kind of a shame, really. I think Andrew Garfield is going to pretty much be remembered in the same sense that Timothy Dalton was remembered in James Bond. There were some people that just said, oh, he's rubbish, the films were rubbish, didn't like them at all, it was crap. Similar thing with Andrew Garfield, people say that. But then again, a lot of fans, not fanboys, but like just, you know, genuine fans. I'm not a major Spider-Man fanboy or anything like that, but I like the new films. I thought they were good. I thought Andrew Garfield was very good. I thought he had the acting talents. Maybe he was too good for the role, to be honest. He's a good actor. He's Andrew Garfield in other stuff, not just kind of to be typecast as a superhero. But I thought he was very good at it. I thought he had the kind of the attitude, he had the look. The physicality is kind of a wiry kind of body that he had as well. So he looked quite good in the Spider-Man costume as well. He kind of fit the part. So it's a real shame. I would have loved to have taken my Amazing Spider-Man Blu-rays and just kind of mixed them in with my Marvel films, now knowing that they're all canon. Because something like that would be fairly unprecedented. I mean, you've got like Alien vs Predator, which at one point in time you could have just kept separate on your shelves, but now it's part of the same franchise, so you can put them together as part of a series. So maybe it isn't unprecedented. You've also got Freddy versus Jason as well, stuff like that where they've brought stuff together. Now with this, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, great, Sony's given the rights back to Marvel." They haven't. What they've done is, it's kind of like, imagine this. Imagine like there's a little boy called Sony and a little boy called Marvel. Marvel has got all of his like Avengers characters. Sony has got all of his Spider-Man, all one of his Spider-Man toys. Well, yeah, Spider-Man and the kind of characters within that, like Green Goblin or whatever. What the analogy of this that I'm trying to sort of say is, well, the little boy called Sony can lend his Spider-Man toy to his friend Marvel, and then Marvel can then play with Spider-Man with all his Avengers toys. And then in return, when he's done playing with those, Marvel can then give back Spider-Man to Sony, but also lend Sony some of his Avengers toys like Iron Man and stuff, and then Sony can play with all those as well, just for the experience of it. So it's really great that they've done this. I'm not saying that they've done it purely for the fans as such. They're doing it for money reasons, obviously. For whatever reason, Sony can't seem to make a successful Spider-Man film, and you won't find anyone more forgiving, really, of the new Spider-Man films than me. I'm not exactly jerking off to them. I didn't think that they were Amazing Spider-Man 2 was probably my least favourite superhero film last year, but it was still pretty good in my opinion. But yeah, it's just Sony just can't seem to get their act together and do just like a really good classic superhero film, like, you know, X-Men, some of the more recent X-Men films, and pretty much all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and stuff like that, and like Tim Burton's Batman, Richard Donner's Superman, you know, that kind of quality film. I mean, it's far from anything like Ghost Rider or Green Lantern is the Amazing Spider-Man. I know some people probably would categorise it in that. It's all subjective, whether you like it or not, it's subjective, there's no right or wrong. But yeah, it wasn't successful, and I can understand why it wasn't successful. But it's just a real shame. I hope they get somebody. I mean, in some ways, it's probably a good thing, because a lot of people, including myself, complained when Edward Norton got recast when they did Avengers Assemble in 2012, and they cast Mark Ruffalo. Wasn't that I disliked Mark Ruffalo or anything. I did like Edward Norton. He's a really good actor. But, you know, I just kind of thought he was the Hulk in that film. We want to see him, you know, we don't want another actor that we can't identify as having seen in something previously. But then again, the Hulk is the Hulk. So, but yeah, Mark Ruffalo did a top job. So, although a lot of people, as I say, myself included, were pissed off that they recast, it was the better, because Mark Ruffalo, in my opinion, and probably a lot of people's opinion, is the better Bruce Banner and Hulk as well. So hopefully that'll be the case with Spider-Man. If they cast somebody that is the right age, I'd say sort of 17. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Andrew Garfield he's quite a bit older. I think he's late 20s, maybe even 30. I don't know. He's about that age anyway, roughly 30. Can pass for somebody who's in the late teens, which is great. But you know he's older. I think they really need to get somebody who's younger and genuinely, you know, you wouldn't believe, because you can believe Andrew Garfield's 30, but you can also believe he's like, well, 18 or 19 or whatever. Whereas if you've got somebody that is actually 17, that you know is 17, but he's good for the part, great, we'll see what happens. So, but like I say, I was disappointed that they weren't keeping the films that they've done so far, because we don't want to see Uncle Ben die again, for God's sake. I hope they don't do that. That's another thing that people have been saying, and rightly so. We don't want to see another Spider-Man origin story. I like origin stories, but it's done to death. It is completely unnecessary. We all know who Spider-Man is. We know how he got his powers. We know pretty much everything about him that we need to know from his origin story. Unless you're going to do a completely different origin story, that is. Don't bother with it. Do what they did with the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Just do it in the opening sequence, like, this guy is Spider-Man, he got bitten by a spider, blah, 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 and that was roll the film, you know, kind of thing. So, we'll see how that goes. But, I think that's pretty much all I really want to say. I mean, I'm not doing this as a news thing. I'm sure you're already aware of what's happened. This is just my opinions on it, so there's a lot of opinions in this video. So, I think we'll leave it there. There's going to be more developments, I'm pretty sure, in the near future. This was something that I knew was coming out. We knew that there was going to be a Spider-Man announcement imminently, so this was the best one. I think apart from as sad as MCU the Andrew Garfield films go, because I liked him and I liked the films as well, I think this is the best case scenario, really. The way that they've done it is great, because we didn't really want Marvel to have the rights back, because if Marvel do get them, with everything else they're doing, you're going to see a Spider-Man film once every 7 or 8 years probably, given everything else that they're doing. With Sony keeping the rights to it, they can do their own thing and just cross them over. So yeah, based on that, I'm happy anyway. So that's all I have to say for now. But that's on that. But I just want to say one thing though. Obviously, the Happy Birthday pants are coming out now. Topher graciously loaned us these last year because we had a few birthdays, like Buff and Core had a birthday. Well, today is the 10th of... No, it's not. It's the... it's 10th. No, it's the 11th. I can't remember my dates. It's the 11th of February 2015. Happy birthday, Paul Cage. The pants are for you. Well, they're not for you, they won't fit, but like I said, Topher lent us these. I think they need washing though, unfortunately. So, yeah. Get rid of them. Anyway, so it's a tradition at Brandix Reviews. We've got to get the birthday pants out. When any of our viewers or any of our co-reviewers or whatever has a birthday, the pants come out. So, random joke there for you. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. And if you want to check out brandixreviews.com, that's the website. There's also a Facebook page, a YouTube channel, obviously. That's where you're watching this video. And I think that's about it. So, if you want to join the Facebook page or subscribe to YouTube, I'm sure you know how to do that. At brandixreviews.com there is a thing that's called social media pages or whatever on the website, so you can access them all through that, so feel free to do so and check back for updates. Thank you very much for watching.